What's up, Amazon sellers? If you are worried about how you can trust your VA and you're thinking about promoting one of them into a purchasing manager, then this is the video for you. Today, I'm going to talk about how to promote a VA to a purchasing manager the safe way. Stay tuned. If you don't know who I am, my name is Thomas Parkinson and I've been an Amazon arbitrage seller now for about 4 years, and I'm on a mission right now to do £1 million. Have a look up there and you can see my journey, what I'm doing. I document it step by step. Now today we're going to be talking about how to promote or how to trust your VA and by promoting them into a purchasing manager. But first things first, if you haven't watched the first video out of this 3-part mini-series, I would really recommend watching it around purchasing managers. What are purchasing managers? And telling you more about that. So I will drop a link up here to that video, watch that, then come back and watch this video. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to define what a purchasing manager is and give you a quick overview of what that looks like, and especially for me in my business. Now, number 2, I am going to tell you about what things my purchasing manager does, what I trust them with on a day-to-day basis to help my business run smoother. Then number 3, I'm going to go into a lot of detail about how I choose who should be my purchasing manager, and it's a little bit different than you might think, and some top tips and tricks that you need to know about taking that next step that's going to support you in growing your business with a purchasing manager. Let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, what is a purchasing manager? And I'll give you a really quick overview. Like I said, there was a video that we've done previously which goes into a lot of detail about this, but I will just recap and make sure we are on the same page. So quite simply, for me in my business, a purchasing manager is like an advanced sourcing VA, someone who has worked for me for a long time and they've now taken the next step up into a purchasing manager role. They have the skills, the expertise, and more importantly, they have the knowledge of my business and in particular, my deal criteria to make purchasing decisions on my behalf on a day-to-day basis. That's pretty much what a purchasing manager does in my business. They buy things. Okay, so that's a little bit about what they do, but let's go into a bit more detail. So number 2, what are the things that my purchasing manager actually does for me in my business? Now, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really do too much in my business anymore. I kind of talk about like 4 hours a week. Sometimes I do like 2 hours a week. I've recently moved to Mexico and Cancun, and that's where I am right now. I'm in a hotel between trying to get an apartment, and just during this Christmas period, I've probably done like half an hour a week on my business, which is lovely, really, really nice, but I've got a good team in place. So I will go through what they do, and we've thought about this in detail, but also share that with you. But once you get it up and running, it makes such a difference, hence why I can travel the world, hence being in Mexico now. Quite simply, what does my purchasing manager do in my business? Let's go through it. Fundamentally, what do? They buy things. They are purchasing. They are a purchasing manager. So they are, number 1, reviewing the deals that my sourcing VAs provide for them. All the deals that come in, they are checking them, making sure they're happy. And if they're happy with the deals themselves, what are they then going to do? They're going to work out how many they should actually buy, i.e. the purchase quantities. And then quite simply, they are physically going to buy them using my credit cards. My purchasing manager has my credit card or multiple credit cards. And the funny thing is sometimes I have to ask him for the numbers of the credit cards because I've forgotten them. But he will be purchasing the stock for me and then obviously ensuring that it gets delivered to obviously our warehouse that we use to manage all our stock and inventory. So quite simply, reviewing deals, purchasing them and getting them shipped to our prep center. Now, the one thing I'll kind of add on to that is, and I've said it before, they are like an advanced sourcing VA. They have to understand my deal criteria, what is a good deal, what is a bad deal. You know, if we talk about like £3 profit, 30% ROI, a lot of people talk about, that's, you know, deal criteria, but there's so much more to it. You might even put like 5 sales per month in there, but there's so much more to it. Looking at that keeper analysis, looking at historically, how many you should buy, competition, what kind of product it is, what's going on in the season, is it Christmas or is it January? So many different variations, and that only comes with experience. So the reason why I say looking at promoting is because that VA, sourcing VA, understands what you accept as a good deal and what you don't, and the reason why, and they can take that experience on to purchasing the right stock at the right quantity levels at the right time. And that's what we're looking for. So quite simply, my purchasing manager is an advanced sourcing VA who's been promoted up to a purchasing manager. That's what they're doing fundamentally as their job. Time for some water. Next thing my purchasing manager does is quite simply team management. Now, what does this entail? Well, quite simply, because my purchasing manager is the person who is sourcing or purchasing the deals, let's say, for example, he's got a basket now from a supplier and he wants some more stock, he can then go and direct the sources to go and find more deals from that supplier. Or maybe he knows something's going on, one source has given him a good deal, maybe from a good voucher code, and he directs the whole team to do it. So with that, he's going to be doing a lot of team management, supporting the team, getting them to do the things that he needs. That also entails a lot around maintaining performance, maintaining good morale, supporting the team in what they are doing. So recognizing when a sourcing VA does an amazing job, like obviously well done, like really singing a song and dance, and hey, when they're getting great results, that is really important. And that is a lot about building experience in working with the team, and me sharing a lot of my experience of managing people with that purchasing manager and supporting them in maintaining the performance of the team and also the morale. So not only directing, guiding the sources to support the deal sourcing, but also as well to support the morale and the well-being of the team and the management of them on a day-to-day basis. I pretty much only deal with my purchasing manager. He deals with the rest of the team, even things like holiday pay, holiday arrangements, etc., just making sure that's all covered. Now, the other one my purchasing manager does is managing around obviously cash flow, and it's not so much cash flow itself. I have an admin VA who does my cash flow forecast, but my purchasing manager will manage the cash. I understand maybe we've got 3 credit cards, which one he can spend and which one he spends first and what's the limit on it, and when that runs out, then what else happens. So number 1, keeping my credit card details safe and secure. That's super important. And then number 2, making sure that we spend the right amounts on the right cards in the right order, maybe depending on credit limits, cashback values, etc. That's what we look at. Now, the other one, which I'll probably just add in there, is that my purchasing manager also, should we say, has access to a lot of information. So whether it be about our suppliers, about historical purchasing records, where we bought, what our good deals are, all that kind of information. And a lot of it is around keeping that secure, but also keeping it safe and also managing it. So this could be things like just making sure that we are going to the right suppliers at the right times, maybe we're replenishing the right stocks, just making sure we're on top of all that information, but also keeping it secure. And the fact that we don't just want to release it to everyone, we want to make sure that we're keeping all that information confidential within the business. Okay, so and the 2 final things my purchasing manager pretty much does is, number 1, repricing. We have a set repricing rule, or like a structure that we go through, a methodology. So the moment we purchase a product, it will go through a workflow and we do the pricing on that. But you know, not everything goes to plan, and sometimes you've got to manually get in there and change the prices and do things. What happens? Well, my purchasing manager, because he's the one who made the initial purchase decision, he is the one who understands that product, why he bought it, what he expected that product to do. And then he will go in maybe after a month, 2 months, 3 months and say, actually, let's change the price on that. It's just not working as expected. Or maybe it's selling a bit too fast. Maybe we're a bit too cheap and we want to up the price to make more profit. So not only reviewing long-term products, but also as well, reviewing short, faster selling items, and pretty much does that on a daily basis and tweaks it. So supporting the pricing, getting the repricing done. And he does that, if you want to know, in line with my sourcing VAs, i.e. they support him as well. And that leads me quite nicely on to the final part that I talk about with what my purchasing manager does. And that is team reports, team KPIs, and team training. Now, all of my VAs go through the FastTrackFBA Academy, and that really helps them. So we get a great VA to start with, and I'll talk more about that in a bit. But also as well, it's about continual development, continual training, continual improvement. So we set quite clear targets. We have very clear measurables for our team, and my purchasing manager is responsible for communicating that to the team on a weekly basis and reporting that KPI information to the team or each individual sourcing VA on a weekly basis. But also as well, what they will do is look at maybe where a VA is underperforming or not performing where they want to, or maybe even overperforming, understand why and go through retraining. Masses of work there. And that might even be they're not actually doing the training themselves, but they buddy them up with another sourcer to support their training development. So quite simply just managing that team as a whole, really focusing on the business, helping that to ultimately get results, which is what our result is, to hit that 1 million over the 18 months. Okay, are you thinking about promoting someone into a purchasing manager role? If so, what jobs are you going to get them to do? Drop it in the comments down below. I'm really interested to see. Maybe there's something that I've missed, maybe there's something that you're doing or wanting to do that I don't, or maybe I do it in a different way. Drop it in the comments down below. We're always interested to hear. Okay, number 3, top tips for managing purchasing managers. And quite simply, this is going to be where the top tips come in to ensure that they are getting the right people who you can trust to make sure that you minimize the risk of any problems happening. So let's go through it now. First top tip for you guys, make sure you know who your purchasing manager is. So I've seen it time and time again where people want to have a purchasing manager really, really quickly, and they'll just look to hire someone into it, i.e. someone they don't know. That's like, it's got so many alarm bells ringing in it or ringing on it. I would just never ever recommend doing this. I would always, and I stress it, I always recommend getting someone within your team who has worked for you for a long time that you can promote up. Why? Because that shows you that they're trustworthy, that they are a great person. Now, quite simply, they're going to have good performance. That's going to be really helpful. You're going to see that they're loyal and they're trustworthy, and that because you've seen how they've worked over time, it's going to make such a difference. And you've seen them on their sourcing journey, and they've learned to work with you, and you've obviously learned to work with them. And quite simply, when you're trusting them with tens of thousands of pounds of your cash on credit cards, having good communication, good trust levels, and good awareness, super, super important. So really recommend promoting someone rather than hiring in directly. Okay, so I just recommended that you promote someone rather than hire them into the role directly. Now, I've explained why trust and make sure they've got a good track record and they understand you and your deal criteria. That's super, super important. And the big fundamental thing that it comes down to is not so much about, if you say, can they find deals? It's who they are as a person. Are they a trustworthy person? Does this job fit for them perfectly? I just want to mention right now that if you don't know, in FastTrackFBA, we run something called the VA Academy. Now, this is whereby we advertise, interview, we train and support you in your business with a manual sourcing VA. Now, the one thing which I will say about this is we are very good at getting the right person. We very much believe in, before you even think about training, doing the training, hire the right person, because if you hire the right person, they will just excel at the training. Get the wrong person and it just doesn't work. And my God, if it's not really working at the sourcing level, good luck at the purchasing manager level where you're trying to get them to learn tens of thousands of pounds worth of spending and figure out that. So getting the right person is fundamental, and we in the FastTrackFBA Academy have a whole process we go through to really understand how to get the right person, train them up, support you in your business with a manual sourcing VA, which honestly we've got some really good feedback with. And then quite simply, you can then promote them up to a purchasing manager, and we can support you with that as well. So if you are interested in the FastTrackFBA VA Academy, have a look down below. I will drop a link there to where you can get a manual sourcing VA, and we're going to help you grow your business. Okay, so coming back to the top tips now, one question I always get asked is, I've got maybe 2 VAs, 3 VAs, which one should I be promoting and why? So I want to jump onto a little screen share now, or a presentation that I made, really simple, 2 slides that's going to explain to you how I would approach this problem and why. And it's probably a little bit different to what you think. So let's go through it now, and I will explain to you which VA I would promote and why, and what are the metrics I look at. Okay, so right here I've got 3 VAs that I've got in my business, and you can see quite simply that they are, we've got VA number 1, they found 10 deals. If we talk about this in a day, for example, it could be a day, a week, a month, look at the averages. So they found 10 deals, or they submitted 10 deals, and you actually bought 3 of them, so deals to buy 3. VA2, they submitted 20 deals and deals to buy is 5. And then VA3 found 8 deals and deals to buy was 4. Now, the question you might be thinking about, which one do I promote? Well, your initial thought might be like, well, you know what? VA2 has found not only the most number of deals, 20, but also as well, we bought the most number of deals from that VA. That is the VA that I want to promote. That is the one that I should be making my purchase manager, because their results are better. And that is what a lot of people will be thinking about, but I think that's wrong. I really, really do. I'm going to explain why. So let's go back now and look at what the results are for them and what I'm actually looking at. So let's have a look now at the deal purchase ratio. So quite simply, out of the number of deals submitted, how many did we buy? So VA1, 10 deals submitted, 3 purchased, 30% purchase ratio. VA2, 20 deals submitted, we bought 5 of them, 25% deal ratio. VA3, they found 8 deals, we purchased 4 of them, purchase ratio 50%. Now for me, I would be choosing VA3 as my purchasing manager. Why? Because VA3 has given me the least number of deals that I've rejected. Now, if I were to say, out of all the deals submitted to me for all of these VAs, VA1, 10, VA2, 20, VA3, 8 deals, if I had £10,000 to spend, each of those VAs has basically said, these are the deals I think are good. Out of the VA1, if I'd spent £10,000 on those deals, they would have split them, let's say, for example, £1,000 per deal. There's 10 deals, £1,000 per deal. Only 30% of those deals have actually been good deals that I would agree with. VA2, again, only 25% of the deals they actually submitted I agreed with. And what I'm looking for is not so much the quantity of deals that they submit or even how many we physically buy. It's the fact that when I have that £10,000, what percentage of that £10,000 they're spending on deals that I agree with, that I think are good purchases. And that's why I choose number 3. Because out of that £10,000, 50% of them, before I've done any training on filtering out those bad deals, VA3 is closer to what my deal analysis is. It's much easier to take someone 50% the same as you to get them closer to 100 than it is to go from 25% to 100. VA2 looks like the great one, but I think personally they might be a bit too lax. They might be trying to buy stuff, be too focused on getting the numbers and not thinking about getting quality deals. And that's all I want. I want to be buying quality deals, not so much about just spending the money, buying lots of deals, even if, because they could be bad. So quite simply, when I'm looking at which one of my VAs to hire, I'm not looking at the number of deals purchased, I'm not looking at the number of deals submitted, I'm quite simply looking at what is the percentage of deals purchased to deals submitted. Higher the better. I want to know who deal sourcing criteria is aligned with mine the best. That's it. I'll just come back to that. Whenever you're thinking about who to promote to a purchasing manager or in that role, it's not about the number of deals purchased. It's about the number of good deals purchased. My God, anyone can buy a bad deal. That's not hard. Buying a good deal, that's difficult. And hence why I'm looking at that percentage rather than the physical number, because then I can train to get them closer. And if I give them enough deals, they're going to be filtering out the bad ones. And that's what I'm really looking for. Okay, so a couple of top tips for you with Purchasing Manager. Define your purchasing limits and define your purchasing rules. What does that look like? Well, quite simply, for me in my Purchasing Manager, we have what's known as, here is the total allowed you can spend. That's defined by cash flow. We have cash flow forecast, and if you are interested in that, I'll drop a link up here to a video that I've done about cash flow and how we generate the amount of money we can spend in our business. He'll have a limit that he can spend per week, and oh my God, if he spends it, I'm really, really happy, but he can't go over that because obviously that's managing our business. Now, also as well, there'll be certain restrictions, maybe certain products we can't buy, or maybe we don't want to go too heavy into one sector. You know, for example, it might be like the back end of Christmas, just calm it down on toys and games. It's probably going to go a bit crazy. We don't want to hold too many in January. Certain times of years, we might have certain purchasing restrictions we don't want to go by or look at. That's make sure you clearly define them. Now, the other one I will kind of add in is about the kind of behavioral, it's the team management. And that's not so much about the purchasing manager than team management. That's about you doing the team management, supporting your purchasing manager in their role. And it's really important to do this because this is about building a relationship. And by having a relationship, you build trust and you build that relationship between your purchasing manager and yourself. And obviously that purchasing manager will then go on and build that with their team. So what is it? Define a goal. Define a goal and keep them on track for that goal. For me and my business, I talk about the £1 million over 18-month period ending December 31st of 2021. Now that is our goal. We've broken it down by month and even week by week. Every single week, my purchasing manager knows how much he's got to spend, how much revenue he's got to do, the profits, the ROI. That's really good because he knows, am I achieving where I need to be or am I not? That's it. Give acknowledgements and recognize success. My God, your guys work super, super hard. My purchasing manager, when he first started, was probably doing 12-hour days every day, which is like crazy. Now we've calmed it down, but it's quite normal to see VAs working a lot. But quite simply, my God, whenever they achieve anything, even good behaviors, shout, scream about it. My Slack channel for my company is just full of great examples of, I love this, I love this, I love this. I really want to recognize those good behaviors and I want to reward and recognize that behaviors and those actions that my purchasing manager takes. The other one I'll probably add in there as well is, let's put it this way, you make mistakes in your business. I cannot begin to tell you the number of bad deals I bought or deals that looked initially good that are actually wrong. And you're like, oh, it's a shame. it's going to happen. It's going to happen with your purchasing manager. It's going to happen with your team. They are going to make mistakes. It's just a fact of life. So for you as an owner of a business, when you're working with your purchasing manager, do not jump to the, oh my God, what did you do? Be like, okay, mistake happened. What did we learn about it? What you're looking for is the fact they've learned something from it. So whenever there's a problem, what have we learned? What can we do going forward that's going to minimize that impact? So quite simply, whenever mistakes happen, don't jump on it. Don't be quick to blame. Don't get angry. Say, okay, what can we do about this in the future to make sure it doesn't happen again? That is what we're looking for, creating a learning culture. And the final thing, which I'll probably just add in there, is make time for your purchasing manager. Like for me in my business, I have an hour a week. Now it doesn't sound like very much, but it's an hour a week where we have a conversation. And this is a conversation whereby I talk to my purchasing manager and say, what is it going on? I ask questions around the business. That makes a lot of difference in me understanding my business. But also number two, I have another hour a week with my purchasing manager where I do coaching. I coach my purchasing manager and I ask them, hey, what can I help you with this week? That whole hour is quite simply focused on how can I help you? I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not here to do anything. It's like, I just want to hear what your struggles are, and I'm going to give you my thoughts. I'm going to share with you. Think about it as like maybe a mastermind with another seller in their business. Having that time every week is about, should we say, getting your purchasing manager better, faster, improving their skills and ability. And the analogy I like to use is sharpening the axe with your purchasing manager, and as a result, your business will get better. So make time for them and support them in their role. Okay, so that is pretty much everything. And what I'm going to say is when you think about trusting your purchasing manager, because you've seen them in your business, they've worked for you for quite some time, you know you've got a good person, an honest person, they always show up, they show great behaviors. That's when you know you can start to trust them with the credit cards, with your money and how you do that. That's going to be really, really important. Obviously, there always is risk, but my God, whether they be a purchasing manager in the Philippines or whether they be a purchasing manager within the UK, there's always going to be an element of risk. And the biggest thing that's going to save you is not the monitoring, the watching of everything. It's quite simply that relationship you build. It's that one-to-one human relationship you have with your purchasing manager, which is going to make the difference to whether something goes wrong or the purchasing manager says, hey, I'm not going to do anything wrong. I really respect my boss. I love them. I think they do a great job. They're fair. We have a great time working in this company and I feel blessed. So hopefully build that relationship, and that is going to make sure that you have a great business, but also a great level of trust with your VA. Right, that is it from me. Hopefully you enjoyed that content. Hit that like button, and hey, hit that subscribe button as well if you want to see the next video that's coming out when that's released. But what I will do is I'll drop a link around here to that third video, which is going to be step by step how to promote a purchasing or a VA to a purchasing manager. Watch that, it could be really helpful. But for me, Thomas Parkinson, out here, Mexico, Cancun, you have a great day and keep growing that business.